This video contains or may contain spoilers for Hollow Knight. A prevalent feature of Hollow Knight's lore is Lifeblood. An entire content pack was named for it. Cocoons of the substance can be found throughout Hallownest, one even being in King's Pass, the game's tutorial area. But what is Lifeblood exactly? What does it do? Where does it come from? I'll be explaining my speculations in this video. The actual liquid lifeblood can be obtained from killing life seeds, which are found in lifeblood cocoons and surrounded by stems with wing-shaped ends. Seed and cocoon both imply that if left alone, these creatures would grow into something else. The ends of the lifeblood stems look like butterflies, and the seeds emerge from cocoons, so that's likely what the seeds turn into when they plant themselves. These butterflies seem to later detach from their stems and are able to fly, as we see with the ones in Joni's repose. Life seeds are somewhat similar to light seeds, which are made of pure infection and create larger blobs of infection when they come together. However, the life seeds already seem to be in this sort of gathered state when they're in the cocoons. In that way, they're kind of like the opposite of light seeds, where they can break apart instead of coming together. Drinking lifeblood makes bugs feel healthier and more energetic. As for the Knight, it gives them extra masks of health, except these masks cannot be healed if they are lost. The Knight's masks are essentially layers of their shell, so the lifeblood they consume likely coats their shell and creates artificial layers which absorb damage that would normally be done to the shell directly and damage its layers. Instead of simply being temporarily broken like the Knight's actual shell layers, these extra lifeblood layers are permanently destroyed upon impact. Because the lifeblood is not actually part of themselves, the Knight cannot use their focus ability to put it back together. The act of drinking lifeblood was apparently taboo in Hallownest, and those who did so were deemed heretics, such as Blue Child Joni. The being from which all lifeblood seems to originate is simply known as the Abyss creature because it can be seen inside a special room in the Abyss. It appears to be very large, with only its head visible even in the spacious area. The room seems to be in the dream realm, since essence particles can be seen floating all around it, and falling into the clouds at the bottom of the room results in the Knight waking up outside the room as they would with any other dream. However, dying due to the environmental hazards in this room counts as a real death, with the Knight even leaving behind a shade, which they don't do in any other dream or dreamlike setting. There is some evidence that this creature had something to do with the ancient civilization, aside from just its room being in the abyss where the civilization originated. An arcane egg can be found in the room, which we know were created by the ancient bugs, and the Lifeblood Core charm is found on top of what appears to be an altar. The stones that light up outside the door also hint at some kind of worship activity. We know that the ancient civilization worshipped the void, but they could have worshipped this creature too. Since this creature's body is largely black, it may itself be connected to void somehow. Which brings me to the subject of whether this creature is a higher being. I think the answer is definitely yes. For one thing, it has its own dedicated room and god home, as do Un, the White Lady, and the Pale King, other higher beings. There is its largeness, but we know that a bug being very large does not necessarily mean that it's a higher being, as evidenced by Bardoon. But this creature seems to be omnipresent, its lifeblood spreading throughout the kingdom, like the White Lady's roots extending outward from her body, or Un's influence spreading to all of Greenpath from her resting place in the Lake of Un. Additionally, the light seeds come from the radiance, so it would make sense that the life seeds would also originate from a higher being. This creature as a higher being would also explain why consuming lifeblood was frowned upon in Hallownest, because it has to do with a higher being other than the Pale King. Despite this, however, some bugs did it anyway. Joni's title as Blue Child makes me speculate that she may have been part of some kind of group that ritualistically consumed lifeblood and possibly even knew about the abyss creature and worshipped it. Her blessing even causes life seeds to be attracted to the night. As for what this creature thinks of bugs consuming its lifeblood, it doesn't seem upset about it, as it watches the night pick up the Lifeblood Core charm without stopping them. The lifeblood in the charm doesn't come from life seeds, but rather a living core inside the charm, though. When it comes to large and/or repeatable sources of lifeblood, it seems that the creature wants the recipient of those to earn them somehow. The Abyss Room has to be opened by having obtained a certain number of lifeblood masks, and the door in Godhome is only accessible after the knight has completed a number of bindings in the pantheons. Once this happens, a sort of stem or vein of lifeblood can be seen extending towards and into the entry points of the pantheons, where it gathers into lifeblood cocoons that it can be extracted from at resting spots. The creature's veins are probably spread throughout Hallownest in the same way, and these veins lead to the various cocoons where lifeblood gathers. It seems that even the God-Seekers themselves cannot enter the room in Godhome housing this creature because their attunement alone does not make it believe that they are worthy of its presence and to consume its lifeblood. That would explain why it doesn't have a room in the pantheon of Hallownest like Un, the White Lady, and the Pale King. However, it still doesn't appear in the pantheon even if its dedicated room has been opened. This is likely because the abyss creature seems to have a more sustained presence than the beings with rooms in that pantheon. Those beings' power is faded or can't be attuned, but once the path to this creature has been reached, it stays open and remains in its dedicated space. It's similar to the Absolute Radiance's statue becoming permanently accessible in the Hall of Gods when she has been reached at least once in the pantheon of Hallownest. Both beings' power is not fading when they're in Godhome, it just takes some effort to reach. As the knight makes progress in the pantheons, they're the one who makes that effort. So what do you think? Which aspect of Lifeblood and its lore do you find most interesting? Is there anything about it that I didn't mention in this video? Let me know in the comments. I'm grateful for you watching this video, and I'd like it even more if you check out my other Hollow Knight videos as well. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.